Good evening from Chris Coles and the team. Hope you're well. We are eagerly anticipating your calls and messages as we do every Monday. We being me and former Rams goalkeeper Eric Steele. Eric, good evening to you.
Good evening, Chris, and good evening, hopefully, to all our people that are going to phone in today, whether it's going to be a rant or it's going to be, should we do this, should we do that? We are welcome and open to anything you want to throw at Chris and I tonight.
Absolutely right. And I think the conversation that probably summed it up best, Eric, came when Ed asked you at 0-4 in the 83rd minute what you were doing with your Saturday night, and you replied, well, certainly not watching the highlights of this. It wasn't great, was it?
No, I found it really, really hard viewing, and as a lot of Derby fans would have done. For the first time, I'm actually questioning, when I look at it, the team, the shape of the team. I just couldn't understand that there was nobody wanting to get up to the ball. We can afford to, normally you can play with 7 or 8 players in the Championship that are really performing near their best. And if 2 or 3 are off colour, we can get through, we can carry them. That's the nature of the Championship, totally different than the Premiership. Unfortunately, Saturday, you really are struggling to find 2 or 3 players that on their day gave a good account of themselves. So that's why it was so disappointing. Individually and collectively, just Derby was so off colour. I didn't recognise certain players that I saw on Saturday. I'm sure we're going to come up in discussion. We've got now 2 terrific fullbacks going forward. But defensively, again, the lapses were there from both players, which cost us the shape of the team. Why is Wisdom playing on the left when he's right-footed? When Tavera can play both sides and he's left-footed. So that was the start of it. You then lose the only number 9 we've got at half-time, and you look at your shape second half, and I really found it difficult to look at the shape. We used Viak and Sibley up top, and then Bird and Knight in midfield against an experienced midfield who really just beat us hands down, with and without the ball. And, the goals were given away too easily. No fight, didn't get up to the ball, didn't look to block, put our bodies on the line. And the sad thing is, Chris, when I did look back on it, I couldn't do it Saturday night, but I did yesterday. We had really good chances in the game.
Yeah.
First half and second half. So there was a lot of positives in terms of chances created, but the stats that you gave us at full time scared me. I think they had 22 shots, of which, 12, 13 are on target. So I think you've mentioned already David Marshall. You can't have your goalkeeper being the busiest man on the field in a home game and expect us to be saying, well, everything's in the garden's rosy. It's not. We really do. Players have to have a strong look at themselves, and I'm sure the management will do the same in terms of the preparation. It's a massive week for Philip Cocu and the players going to Norwich on Saturday.
Let's get into it then. 0800 145 6161 is the free phone number. 81333 on text. Derby at the front of your message, at BBC Derby Sport on Twitter. And we're live on the BBC Derby Sport Facebook page as well, if you'd prefer some visuals to enhance your enjoyment. It almost certainly won't, but you can comment along with the live messages and just play nicely. Otherwise, Eric will ban you, and you don't want that. Just to set the tone, let's quickly remind you of some of the things said by both manager Philip Cocu and captain Wayne Rooney in the aftermath of Saturday.
We actually started the game quite well, I thought. But yeah, you lose the game 4-0 and it's not a nice feeling, so we're all upset and a bit embarrassed.
Our attitude was not good enough. We agreed to go out without doubt, fear. If I compare the energy they put on and what we did, we're miles off. And like last season, we played, I think, 2 away games you could compare a little bit to today. But when you're losing 3-0, it's too late. And that's unacceptable. And I told him after the game, we should have learned from last season.
Blackburn had a lot of energy in that midfield area. At times it seemed like they're doubling up and all over the place and marking Louis Sibley out of the game. That must be difficult to try and get instructions to people to try and counteract that.
Not really. I didn't think they were doing a job on Sibley. I think for Louis, he was a bit too static today. He went his normal self with his energy and his enthusiasm. I don't think that was Louis Sibley, which we've seen in the past. So, and he knows that, but I'm not singling Louis out. I think that's for all of us. I think all of us wasn't good enough today, and although I don't think Blackburn were great actually.
How quickly do you need the likes of Lawrence and Waghorn and Ibe to be fit? And you've also signed Bobby Duncan as well. I mean, these players who could start pushing other players for their positions.
Yeah, but Bobby Duncan will be first starting in under-23s because he, from last February, I think, was the last time he trained. Jordan Ibe also, he will need 4 weeks, 5 weeks, all the time he didn't train. So you have to be realistic. I think the player who hopefully joins us from that group will be Tom Lawrence. He's close to getting back into the group sessions. I don't use it as an excuse about a performance when I don't think the attitude of the team was right.
So there you go, Wayne Rooney and Philip Cocu. The only other thing to add to that, or things to add to that, Jack Marriott not injured despite coming off at half-time with a score at 3-0, and Matt Clark didn't play because they felt he wasn't quite up to the rhythm of the game, as Cocu put it. Although accepted this was a mistake, held his hands up, he should have played. So the scene is set, it's over to you now. We've got Mickey, Steve and Rob all waiting to speak to us. Let's kick off with Mickey. Mickey, good evening to you.
Hello, lad, you all right?
Yeah, OK, thank you. The floor is yours. What did you make of Saturday?
Very poor. I don't think we've got a dominant centre-half who can drag players about, in all honesty. You've got Wayne Rooney, who's a midfielder now at Derby, and he's not dictating the play, which for some supporters you thought would happen, but it's just not. So it's just not working out at the minute.
No, Mickey, Eric Steele here. The spine of the team just didn't operate, did it, Saturday? You know, you look,
No.
You've got to have your strength, and that's our strength. When we had our good spell before the lockdown and after, we had good strength in the back four, the middle two centre halves, you know, whether it was obviously Clark with Wisdom or Forsyth playing, where Wayne Rooney really digging in there. I think we miss Shinnie, I really do, from the Luton performance, because he's the one that really does put his foot in. We did not get close to any of their midfield three on Saturday, and then we don't have a focal point. We don't have a nine. I cannot understand why Marriott's taken off, because you do lose your focal point of your team when you take your only nine off, who can hold that ball up in the central areas. And it was one of those days, Mickey, if you watch the game, we just had, in terms of character, fight, it's readily been admitted by Wayne Rooney and Philip Cocu, you know, it just wasn't anywhere near good enough from what we've been used to seeing.
No, it wasn't. Especially, I mean, Louis Sibley is a Derby lad. Do you know what I mean? You expect him to do that little bit extra. But that's when you need like players like Rooney and the older lot to come in and say, get your finger out, you know what I mean? Do a bit of work.
Mm. Yeah, Rooney doesn't look right at the moment. He's not the player that finished the this last season for us, is he?
No, he looks unfit, in all honesty. Looks like
he'll get there, though. We've got to keep the faith. He will get there.
Well, Mickey, what would you do with Wayne Rooney? And Eric, I'll bring you in on this, of course, because you know him as well as anyone. Mickey, if he needs games to get to match fitness level, do you keep throwing him out there, keep playing him, but accept that he won't be at the level required? Or do you take him out and accept it might then be longer before he gets up to peak level?
Well, that's the thing. Who are you going to replace him with? It's like Eric's just said, Shinnie. Shinnie's the workhorse of the team. He's like, I don't know, a Craig Bryson. But then you need that figurehead like Rooney who can calm the game down. So, yeah, I don't know. It's struggling.
To be fair, Mickey,
really.
he still produced some good moments Saturday. Some of his crossfield, he made some great passes in terms of switching play. And there was one touch when he set Jozwiak up second half, and he got through and he went to bend it and just summed up Derby's day. It went 10 yards wide when he really should have hit the target. So there was some moments, but we had a lot more of them at the end of last season. We haven't seen that, and it's not just Wayne Rooney. It's collectively, isn't it, as well?
Oh, definitely.
There's a lot of players off song at the moment.
Yeah,
Mickey, stay there. Don't go. I want to bring Steve into the conversation because I think Steve wants to talk about Wayne Rooney as well. Hiya, Steve.
Hiya.
How are you doing? And Rooney, I think you want to come in on this as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not singling Wayne Rooney out, but this is where I stand on Wayne Rooney, who is the greatest English player that's ever lived. Is that one thing I think we all knew we weren't getting with Wayne Rooney is the legs. So the brain still works, the brain wants to, the body doesn't always allow. But having said that, as Eric touched on, he always pulls out some nice little flicks and his vision for passing is great. The one thing I do expect from Wayne Rooney is desire and passion. And for me, if you go 2 down, 1 down early doors in a game like that with a group of young players around you, I expect a talisman like Wayne Rooney to be turning around in the face of people, cheering them up and telling them to get back on it. And that's what was missing for me. And as a team as a whole, we're missing a leader. We're missing a talisman. We're missing a spokesperson. We're missing someone who stand head and shoulders above all the other players, get everybody grouped together and drive forward.
Yeah. We were quiet, weren't we? We were quiet as a team. It's a good point, Steve. We were very, very quiet. And that's where you can't afford it. You go 3-0 down within 14 minutes. You've got to have somebody out there that's going to say, come on, grab this game by the throat. We had none of that. And it's not just one man.
Yeah.
You need 3 or 4. And there should have been more. Tavierek
even from a damage limitation perspective, which it probably was at that point. But even so, you need to have the attitude and the desire. And it's something that's lacking for me. And now we touched on injuries with Wayne Rooney. And we know match fitness is probably an issue for him, but I wonder if there's something more underlying, if there's something more serious. I'm thinking all the football he's played over the years, is he one of these sort of elder players that is needing these painkiller injections to play on? And is it something that's obviously not in the spotlight as much?
Well, yeah, and I mean, Chris reported it last week that it was a back injury he had. Now, that is something as you get older. I'm sure I can testify to that. You get a back injury or you get a back problem as you get older. That is harder to recover from. All injuries are harder to recover from as you get older. And you think he's been gone since he was 17. So
yeah, exactly.
I still think we'll see more of Wayne Rooney, but he needs more support in and around him. So I agree.
In that case, Eric, sorry to interrupt, and it's accepted now that Wayne Rooney isn't the 21-year-old that he was 14 years ago. Is he being played in the wrong position? Because surely in that engine room, you need legs, you need energy, and you need someone that is a Graham Shinney, that is a Christian Bielik. You wouldn't even put Max Bird in that category. He's lovely on the ball. He's got a great eye for a pass. But alongside Wayne Rooney, who isn't as mobile, do you think then he's being played in the wrong position?
Yeah, I think he's got to play as the 10. I've said it before. You can create from there as well. And he will get closer to the 9. But we've got to get a 9. We've got to get a 9 that's going to suit us, and that's where we really are lacking now. That we're signing people now who aren't going to be ready for 4 or 5 weeks. I don't quite get that. Now is the time when we need the 9 through the door. You know, we've got a week left on the transfer window, and I'm sure Philip Cocu and the staff are doing all they can. But it is so evident that the longer this season goes, 4 games in, we have got to get a 9 in there. And we know the 9s that we've had, one has left the club and having a major impact elsewhere, which hurts even more. And then we're waiting on, we know Waghorn can do a job for us up there. And that's why I think Wayne will be better off, keep his energy, conserve his energy and play as the 10. And then when we get Shinney back in there for me. And then you've got Bilic coming back who can play in there. The kids are finding it tough at the moment. I don't know what Steve and Mickey feel. I watched Knight and Bird second half against, obviously, Holtby and Rothwell. Not big names that we'd all go, wow. But they were just men against boys. That was what was wrong for me.
Mickey?
And we did.
Yeah, fully agree with that. Definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with Steve as well. About it's not just Wayne Rooney. You need that 2, 3, 4 players to get hold of the rest of the squad and say, come on, got to dig deep. 3-0 down after 15 minutes, and then, you know what I mean? You've got to get, as a squad, you need to get together. There's just no togetherness. There's no fight. There's no nothing.
Steve,
that's what the week, for me, guys, Mickey, Steve, that's what this week's about. It's a vital week for Philip Cocu. He's got to get some spirit into these players. He's got to get some fight and fire in their bellies. Because if you don't start the preparation now, we cannot afford to go to Norwich and play like we did. We played all right for 8-9 minutes, and like I said, we did have chances. But when you watch the highlights again, it frightened me to death that an away team has come to the Pride Park, our castle, our home, and looked like the home side. 14, 13 shots on target. David Marshall must wonder what he's come to. It was like shooting practice for him. So it's a vital week, and it's the blend. It's down to the team that Philip Cocu picks, and then it's down to the players to say, right, come on, let's show what we can do. Because somewhere along the line, it's got to start, and it's got to start as soon as. We could have done with another midweek game, but we haven't got that. And hopefully by then we may have a 9 in the door, but the 9's really got to hit the ground running for us. And the other players have got to get round them.
Lots of links with the German striker Sander Durzan, and we'll talk about him in a moment. Before we let Mickey and Steve enjoy the rest of their evenings, Steve, when you hear Philip Cocu talk about the attitude and the desire and the passion of players, as he did against Brentford a year and a month ago, I'm sure he did it again last season. I can't remember the game exactly, and he's doing it again on Saturday. How does that make you feel as a fan when the manager is questioning those attributes from his players that he's not seeing?
I think that given modern football being what it is, that it's not unexpected that some players think that it's just a right to walk over the pitch and get paid what they do. I think I'm a big Philip Cocu fan. I'm a big advocate of Dutch style of football, the possession football. I think he comes across, I think people call him boring. I don't think he is. I think he's got a streak in him that we don't see, which is ruthless, which he doesn't always show. And I feel for him because ultimately the manager can do all the planning and tactics and prior preparation. And yes, I understand the tactics were called into question Saturday. It starts with the 11 that walk over the white line on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. If they're not geared up and ready for that game, they shouldn't be in the team.
Steve, Mickey,
Very
brilliant. Thank you for kicking us off. 0800 145 6161 if you would like to join in the debate. Going to Rob in Belper in a couple of moments' time. Some of your messages then. You can text us 81333. Derby at the front of your message. Kev says, do you think Philip Cocu will have the bottle to drop Wayne Rooney? I don't think he's good enough on present performances to deserve a place in the starting 11. It's sad to see such a world-class player looking like a mediocre championship player currently. Lucy says, personally, I think Cocu needs to go. If it was anyone else, they would have been sacked by now. Tim, Rooney said he didn't think Blackburn were that great, but we lost 4-0, so how bad does that make us? A Charlie Austin type striker will bring goals, that's for sure, if we get him, so fingers crossed for that. We have a decent keeper now, so at least we should have some confidence. Panic after 10 games, and not now, says Tim. And Dennis, for now, says easy to blame the defence, but I think we may have a problem at centre-half. However, it's the midfield where the issue lies. When we were going well a couple of years ago, we had a midfield of Bryson, Hendrick and George Thorne playing in front of the back four. Currently the opposition are overwhelming us and the midfield do not know how to handle this. 81333 and at BBC Derby Sport. Let's head to Rob in Belper. Hiya, Rob.
Hey, good lad, you all right?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good. Sort of looking forward, actually, back to Saturday so we can sort of look forward to a game again rather than looking back at such a depressing scoreline.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, wouldn't it just? Yeah. What did you make of Saturday?
I thought the tactics were pretty appalling. I thought the team selection was quite strange when it was selected. I was looking at that team and thinking, well, the obvious thing was, why isn't Matt Clark in the team? That would be, Cocu goes on about a left-footed left centre-back like it's the most important thing in football, which I disagree with. And then he's got a left-footed left centre-back, one that he's signed himself, and he was our player of the season last season, and he's dropped him. And I think he's tactically absolutely bizarre. You're 3-0 down at home at half-time, and Wayne Rooney, there's some debate as to whether he is a striker for us. He's played centre-mid the majority of the games. So to take Marriott off and leave us sort of without a striker on the pitch, I just thought was tactical stupidity, to be honest with you. I mean, it was just like sent out the message to the players that we've totally given up. And yes, no player should walk out onto the pitch and not try the best. And I think the majority of them should be pretty ashamed of themselves after that performance. And listening to Rooney speak, he probably was. But I think that sends out a message to the players, and if that's what it's like in and around the dressing room is so negative, it's hardly difficult to see why it's quite difficult for the players to get motivated to play for him, in my opinion.
Well, yes, you can always look at the tactics of it, but I think the attitude, and Wayne Rooney admitted to that, it's the first time, Rob, I've watched a Derby County team, and I really looked at it and I thought there was only really David Marshall that come out with any credit. The two fullbacks, terrific going forward, but we really have got problems defending. When I watch the goals again, we just don't have that appetite, the desire in your belly to head that. The lad I played with, Rob Hindmarsh, he'd put his body on the line, he would get up close, and if anybody else didn't do it, I don't see enough of that. We were, somebody just before your call, and you've made some good points on the tactics side of it. Somebody actually said, where was the desire to get close to people? You went 3-0 down because of that. We didn't get anywhere near people. Bradley Johnson's a great strike, but we've got two midfield players within 3 yards. That's not tight. That's not shutting people down. So you're looking, if there's no desire to defend, no wonder we go 3-0 down. No wonder we've got a record of, scored 2-8 against already in the league. And we haven't played the top teams yet, although I still believe Reading were a big challenge to us on the opening day. And fully agree, second half, I just looked and went, I couldn't work the shape out. And I've been in the game for a long time. And I thought, where we're going here with the shape? I could see the 5. playing the 5 and you give Buchanan and Byrne the chance to go forward. And they are terrific going forward. Byrne is an asset in terms of that. But if your centre-halves that you're left with can't defend, no wonder we nearly conceded 2 or 3 again, and then Marshall made saves, and then they got the 4th goal. So, I think we've got to get a system very quickly, get Matt Clark back in the team, and I'm big on Shinnie, and everybody's probably saying, why Steely keep talking about Shinnie? Because I look what he did at Luton away. He set the tone. He got tackles in, he started passing, he got people around him, he influenced people. That's what we need for Saturday. So they've got to get their heads up. There's no hiding place now, is there, Rob, for players between now and Saturday?
I completely agree. And I think as well, in the simplest form possible, the manager has to pick the best team he has available. I don't think he did that on Saturday. And the players that he are picked have to try the best. And I don't think that happened. And the combination of the two of them is never going to end up in a successful team, is it? If you've got the manager not picking his best team and the players not trying, not going to end too well.
No, Rob, that's got to change, and change quickly. You can't. Derby County doesn't lose 3 games on the trot. I'm sorry, that's not the club. That's not what we are. Pride Park was our fortress, and boy, are we missing them fans. Because you think, Rob, can you think what the fans' reaction would have been like, half-time, full-time on Saturday?
I think they'd have been booed off at half-time and full-time in every game they've played. And I think you said that as much yourself, mate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think it's... I think that's where we've needed. I think they really have. We've missed the crowd. We've missed that drum. We've missed that atmosphere. And we can't change that. We've got to say, come on, we've got to turn it around. Chris has mentioned it in preview games. It's down to the attitude of the players. So, boy, if they don't have a massive turnaround in attitude, we are one of the places I wouldn't want to be going is Norwich this Saturday. But that's where the fixtures have thrown us. That's where we've got to go. So it's a massive week for the players to pull themselves together, individually and collectively, and hopefully we go there with a system that they're going to work on, and the boys know exactly what they've got to do when they cross that white line. Rob, the other point, Robert, I think you made before earlier was the fact that normally Wayne Rooney, when he went on the field, was the coach for Philip Cocu. And if he's going on where he's not sure where he's playing second half, because he looked like he was just drifting between the front and the back, or playing in behind, that isn't helping. So he's got to get a clear message as well. And then he's got to get round people on the field. And if you're struggling with your own game, that's when you need a bit of seniority around you. But unfortunately, again, we're back to it. You've got Bird and Knight playing in midfield, struggling with their own games in there. That's where you needed more experience. The lineup at Luton was the one that encouraged me, where it was far more senior, with Shinnie in there. Obviously, the back four should have looked more solid, with Forsyth in there, Wisdom, Clark, Byrne, fine. So I really do think that certain players have got every right to knock on their door and say, get me back in that team, Gaffer, because I want to play and try and put this right.
Totally. Yeah, completely agree. I think it's also a shame that a Luton defeat is the game that we're all looking at and going, what a performance that was.
I know. Good point, Rob. Good call, good point.
Yeah, that's where we're at the moment.
Come sit with me on Saturday.
Rob, thank you very much for your call. 0800 145 6161 is our free phone number. We have Gareth and Mark to speak to. A few more of your messages beforehand. Glenn says to play 5 academy players at the same time is asking for a disaster. I'm not saying they're not skillful, talented players, but it's a big step up to the Championship. It's distracting the experienced players who are used to a more mature team, and they're looking totally lost on the pitch. It's nothing to do to the young players who aren't able to get the support they need. It's just draining their confidence and not helping their careers. Tony says, I'm tired of talking about attitude, tempo and slow starts, and it's early in the year. Chasing down and running off the ball are the basics. And one more for now. Steve, not Steve, I've lost the message. Paul says we need to change to a 4-3-3 to have more numbers in midfield. And we may need to sign another centre midfielder because we look short in that position also. We haven't replaced Huddleston, says Paul. 81333 and at BBC Derby Sport. Let us go to Mark, who's in Spisby. Hello, Mark.
Hiya, you all right?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Bit despondent after watching our revered club going down the pan.
Oh, okay. So you're far from a happy chappy.
It's the chairman's fault.
Okay, why?
Because he has ordered the manager to play the young uns. you can breed one or two in, but not half a dozen. The young boys.
Yeah, so this is Mel Morris's quote from, I think, a season and a half ago, that he wanted 50% of Derby's starting 11 to be made up of academy players. Yeah?
Yes, I mean, when you look back in history, Brian Clough blooded Steve Powell into a man's side, and he come on great. You can't do it with 5 or 6.
Eric, too many youngsters in the Derby team. Discuss.
I agree. No, I agree fully. I think they've done terrific. I think what we had last year, the callers made a very good point. Last year, we threw them in, and yes, no problem when you throw 2 or 3 in. But at the moment, that's why I did like the team that went to Luton, because we were only effectively had 2 kids in there. If you look at Bird and Sibley, Knight, and they were what we did was we wrapped them round with some experienced players. And I don't know if the caller agrees. We're in a dogfight at the moment to get out the bottom 3. That's not really an experienced young players. You can't have too many young players. But we ended the game again with Morgan Whittaker on, Knight, obviously Bird in midfield, and it was again, you're asking a lot of them. And if this predicament goes on, it's not a good time for young players to be 4 or 5 of them in that team. That's why it's vital.
If you look at the EFL Cup, the Premiership clubs use their young lads against men of the first and second division, and they're getting whooped by men. They're boys.
Mm.
I know we all grow up, but
no. So are you saying that you?
Not half.
Are you saying that you're happier when there's 1 or 2 in with the experienced players rather than the 4 or 5 that Mel wanted?
Them on. I mean, if you look at them on the pitch, they're walking about, passing side to side. They don't know what to do because they haven't got the experience.
And
when if there weren't so many of them. Well,
there's a big difference between
talent.
Yeah.
You can tell by the faces they're despondent.
Yeah,
and the only
it's
man that
not
was
hard.
On Saturday was Wayne Rooney.
So you'd keep
everybody's job.
So you'd keep Rooney in, but you'd. I mean, you talk of the youngsters, and you look at Saturday's team, and a couple of positions it needs must at the moment. So Jason Knight in the team, because at the moment Derby are short in that area. Max Bird has been a main part of the team now for the last 7-8 months. Lee Buchanan at left back. We know Derby were quite flush at left back when Scott Malone was around. Craig Forsyth obviously can play there. I know Max Lowe has moved on now. So you'd like to see a more experienced, quickly, Mark, line up against Norwich?
Well, we ain't got time for that unless there's enough in the squad to play the senior players.
Oh, there is.
Well, you suspect.
I think we've got more. We've got senior players that were sitting out. Forsyth wasn't even on the bench on Saturday.
No.
So I think you've got more experienced players that you're going to need go Saturday. But you've made a very good point. Good call.
Thank you, Mark. 0800 145 6161. Sorry it's brief, but we have lots of people wanting to speak to us, and I want to make sure that everyone has their say. So let's go to Alistry, where we find Dave. Evening, Dave.
Actually, that last caller's said what I was going to say, basically. We've got too many youngsters in the team all at once. And that is down to the fact that Mel Morris has been saying what's the team. The thing is, I'm very upset. I'm surprised at you, Eric, having a go. I don't know if you're having a go at Cocu or what, but for me, Cocu's got to stay. If there's any rumblings about Cocu leaving, I'll be very annoyed about it.
Well, no, I haven't said that in either commentary summarising or tonight. What I'm saying is he's got a very, very big job on, and he's got to get the answers quickly. Because at the moment, the cards he's got...
The fans are doing a hatchet job on him.
Yeah, well, I don't see that. I said it is time. I've always said 10 games is when you judge. That's when you judge your season, how it's gone. And at the moment, we're 4 games in. But the only concern I've got is that we've got to get a settled tactical side in terms of how we're going to play and get the senior players back in. I don't think it's a time for the younger players. So I think I've queried selection. I did query Saturday, second half. I could not see the shape of the team with taking Marriott off. You lose your number 9 as a focal point. Marriott did okay at Luton.
Well, I don't see Sibley and Marriott working together at all. I'm sorry.
No, we need a 9.
I think the club are trying to get a 9. I mean, let's
very much so.
We started the game well, but we were hit by 3 quick goals, weren't we?
Yeah,
when
but
teams get hit by...
Goals change games. Bird after 9 minutes, which Ed Dawes comment on really well, it's blocked. But then you've got to keep the back door locked at home. And you can't concede 3 in the nature that
You'll
we
have. You'll have to tell that to Man City and Wolves then, Eric.
Yeah, I understand. And they've got
plenty more money than us. Sorry?
I know they have. And obviously, listen, that's why we've got to stay by Cocu in terms of saying, we've got to be patient. But you can still have a frustration in terms of what's gone on when he readily admits that he's the one that's dealing with the players Monday to Friday. And we've been going now nearly 8 weeks for pre-season.
And this other thing, sorry to interrupt.
Right.
I can't get this criticising Rooney business at all.
Okay.
I think he's having to do a lot of it is on his own. He's looking for players. He's looking for the out ball. He's looking for somewhere to pass. And there's nobody on. There's nobody there to pass to.
Which was my criticism, because look at Luton. When we had Josiak wide on one side, Knight on the other, we were effective. Wayne Rooney could pick people out. Max Bird could pick people out. But Josiak, in the end, he ends up playing up top alongside Sibley second half. And you're looking and going, your outlets then become too young. Well, no, one's not young, Byrne, who's just joined the club. We're asking them to be wing-backs.
I think he's done well, actually. I think he's done well.
Yeah. Terrific going forward, but he worries me defensively, as does Buchanan. So if you're going to play, you really do need your 3 centre-halves to be on the boil, and you've got to have somebody then sitting in there that's going to sit in front and protect that 3. We didn't have that because we had Knight and Bird, who at the moment are fighting to keep their own game going. And losing games 4-0 isn't going to help the younger ones. So I'm with you. We stay with Cocu. We hope we get the 9.
Bradley Johnson. The situation was ideal for Bradley Johnson coming back to his old club.
Yeah, that was written. Well, it was written, wasn't it? Dave, when you see a performance like Saturday and you see a 4-0 home defeat and you've been staunch in your support of Philip Cocu, and we know that others aren't so supportive, but when you see a performance like that, and I know it's kind of the culture we're in at the moment is, well, we need to blame something and we need to blame someone and it has to be someone's fault. But when you look at a performance like that, where does your anger lie? Or do you just accept that it's just one of those things that happens in football?
Well, my anger, I'm not really that angry, to be honest. I was upset and disappointed, but I'm not really that angry. You get games like that in football. It's like Wolves lost to West Ham 4-0. Wolves have been playing brilliant. You know, sometimes games happen like that. I can remember Derby playing Leicester and getting thumped 5-0 at home when Jim Smith was here. I think it was Jim Smith. Can you remember that game?
I do. I remember that, Dave. Thanks for coming on. Remind me about that as well.
Hey? I can remember all sorts of games where we've been mullered.
Yeah. Oh, it was going so well. You were getting on so well, and then you have to throw that in, Dave, to ruin Eric's evening.
I remember that night. I had to give the goalkeeper net rash cream at the end.
Oh, dear. Dave, you make some good points.
Good call.
Thank you very much.
It's a good call. Do you agree we've got to stick behind the manager and hope we get the 9 in quickly?
Honestly, you've got to stick with Cocu. If you get rid of Cocu now, it'd be a disaster for Derby County, I'll tell you.
Dave, Chris, just interjecting again.
Yeah, go on.
What do we say in the preview? You've got to look and say, you don't want you. This is the first time we've had a manager who's come in and he started the second season. So we can't, change isn't going to happen. Change for me won't change the team. The attitude of the manager and the coaching of the manager has to be modified quickly, as has the attitude of the players. And then we hope the new players come in, get Josiak back wide, get Shinnie in the team, get Clark back, and then we can go and have a go at Norwich.
0800
How positive is that, Dave?
I think Dave he's still there. Dave, thank you very much for your call. Some really good points made there. Agree? Disagree? Let us know. 0800 145 6161. Free phone number, remember. 20 minutes to get your call into us. We have Tony and James waiting to speak to us. Some more of your messages that continue to come in apace. 81333. Derby at the front of your message at BBC Derby Sport. And let's start with Sean, who says, trounced by a mediocre team. They need to look at themselves. This is following Wayne Rooney's comment about Blackburn not being so sharp, according to Rooney. But Sean says, I don't think sacking the manager is an option. Keep the faith and it will come right. Rob, things I don't see from this team: desire, winning second balls, finding a forward pass, wanting the ball, closing down opposition. We can talk about formations and tactics, but the essentials that any team needs to succeed is currently lacking. Derek, a really bad day at the office. We can't keep defending like that, especially down the left. We are very vulnerable. Yes, we created a fair bit, but we didn't take our chances. I also think we should have had 2 penalties. Lawrence Waghorn-Bielik back ASAP and a big target man, please. Kev, when I heard the team beforehand, I wondered why Wisdom and Taveric were both in the same team. Clark is left-footed. Both Taveric and Wisdom are right-footed, so I suppose one of them had to play on the left-hand side, but to leave your left-footed option out in Clark. To be fair to Philip Cocu, he did say afterwards, I got that wrong. I made a mistake. He should have played. Kev continues, I couldn't work out the formation even more when he took Marriott off and replaced him with Evans. Brian, on the same theme, I found it strange that he was taken off at half-time, and stranger still that no one is asking why. Well, he was asked why, and Philip Cocu said that he didn't think he was up to speed and wasn't playing well enough, and that's why he made the change. You can disagree with that, you can agree with that, but that's why he made the change. He wasn't injured. And Shane says, I'm all for giving managers time and have a lot of time for Cocu, but I do think we're going backwards. The style of play doesn't suit the Championship and things need to change quickly. Where should we go to next? Let's go to James. Hello, James.
Hi, guys. You all right?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, we're fine.
There does seem to be a sort of resigned tone to everyone we speak to tonight, but go on.
I suppose I'm sort of coming on again to be positive. I think we're only three games in. I've seen the games this season and they've been poor, but there are like some mitigating factors. We're introducing new players. We're obviously missing 3 or 4 senior players. If you put Lawrence Waghorn-Bielik, I know we haven't seen much of him. If we put them in, plus get a 9, we'll really start to build a spine. I just think we just need to go back to basics, play a 4-3-3. I'd probably bring Forsyth back in just for his experience now. Bring Shinnie into the midfield for a bit of give a rest to some of the younger players who are, you can see, they look a bit like rabbits in the headlights, but they're not suddenly bad players. I don't think we should write Taveric off. It just takes a while to get used to the Championship. We're introducing Byrne and Jozwiak, so it takes time for all that to gel. But when it does, I think there's the makings of a good team. I actually think they've done some good work in terms of in the transfer market. So we just have to give it time to gel and time for them to get their confidence back up. But they just have to start becoming more difficult to beat and then, build from there.
Work from there. Eric?
Good point. No, I would agree totally with that. You've got to build from the back. When you're in this situation, I've been in dressing rooms where I've been there as a player and I've been there as a coach. And the one thing you do, you've got to set your stall out to be hard to beat. If you're in this sort of run where you've conceded the goals that we have in the three games so far, we're 8 goals down against us. We could have a lot more in terms of our goals for column, but it is. And like you said, there are mitigating circumstances in terms of getting players back. And we do look raw when you look at. I look at Luton that changed last week, played 2 different 11s. They played our 11, then they played a different 11 against Man United, then they went back to another 11. And that's Luton. We haven't got that luxury at the moment. So you're right. When we get our best players, our more experienced players back, but I still think it's pivotal about we're waiting on this number 9. That number 9 is going to be the one that's going to really make or break our season. I don't know if you agree with that.
Well, I think one of the mistakes in hindsight was letting Chris Martin go, just because. But again, there's lots of other things going on in terms of the EFL at the time, and with coronavirus, the budgets have probably gone down. But that does seem a mistake. But if we get a decent focal point, and we are linked with a few. Hopefully we can start to gel a team, to build for the rest of the season.
Some good point. That's why this week's vital, because that transfer window ends in a week's time, and we'll have been in Norwich by then. So hopefully we can go and scrap a result on Saturday, get the 9 in, then there is a window left where we can loan again. But it certainly is. It's a massive week, 10 days for the football club.
Yeah, I think as fans, though, we have to, just be patient, back Cocu. You can see, I think we can see what he's trying to do. And I know it's difficult because, we're seeing poor performances, let's be honest. But, you can see there's a plan, and we just need to stick behind him, and and hopefully it'll come good. I'm sure it will.
James,
Good
appreciate
call.
your call. Pleased to know that you're remaining optimistic. 0800 145 6161. We're into the final 15 minutes of the programme now, so be quick if you haven't lodged your call with us yet. Gareth in Christchurch has been waiting an awfully long time, so let's go to him now. Gareth, sorry for keeping you waiting. What's on your mind?
Good evening, Chris.
Evening.
Yeah, no, that was good because I was listening to the fans, and the fans know best, don't they? Actually,
it's like customers are always right, fans are always right. Yeah. That's the thing you just have to accept.
The fans know best.
Yeah.
I was actually. I'm going to come to something more in the past in a minute, but just covering the near past. I know the fans have already sorted it out that the centre halves were the wrong ones in the wrong places. And did I hear that Philip Cocu had actually admitted that he'd made a mistake?
He said afterwards that they didn't think Matt Clark was, quote, up to the rhythm of the game. You can take that. And it's like when Louis van Gaal used to come up with things like this, didn't he? He used to say that match rhythm was quite. It's obviously something that they looked at before the game, and thought that Matt Clark wasn't suited to that game. However, Philip Cocu did say we got that one wrong.
I mean, the most recent game was against Blackburn. I think it was in March, and I think Andre Wisdom played right centre back, and Clark played left centre back, and I think we beat them 3-0. And I thought that was the best back line we'd had, and obviously that was the tightest. And for me, they're the best two centre halves. I know we've got this new player that he's brought in that hopefully will be better in the future, but at the moment, if they're both fit, surely they've got to play, as the two centre backs. But anyway, the fans have sorted that out already, so hopefully Philip Cocu is listening to it.
Everyone's welcome to their opinions, Gareth.
But I've got in front of me here, and this is Eric's touched on this about a settled team. I've got a programme from the 20th of September 1969.
Oh, wow. Surprised it's still in shape.
Derby County versus... I've actually got, I think, the whole season, or the last 2 seasons of those. I've got Derby County versus Tottenham Hotspur, and I believe that was the record attendance at the baseball ground. And I just picked out another one that was later in the season, and this is Derby County versus Leeds United.
Yeah.
And that's the 30th of March, 1970.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to read to you the Derby County team.
Gareth, I'm sorry to hurry you along, but we're running out of time. If you could in a microcosm, you've got very quickly.
The team was virtually exactly the same from September to March.
Yeah.
Les Green, Ron Webster, Alan Durbin, John Robson, Roy McFarlane, Dave Mackay, John McGovern, Willie Carlin. And our number 9 was John O'Hare, and Kevin Hector, number 10, and Alan Hinton, number 11. And I think maybe more or less to a man, the team was the same the following March. And we didn't have a false 9, which is actually no 9. We had a number 9 and a number 10.
So consistent team consistency is what you think needs to be slightly better. I suppose back in those days it was the same 11 every week, wasn't it? Only one sub, sometimes no subs.
Yeah, one sub, and basically, seemingly, the players managed to play the whole season without getting injured for some reason. Whereas these days they seem to get injured quite easily, and they're out for about 2 months.
No sports scientists back in those days. Gareth, really appreciate your call and thank you for your point. I think we understand where you're coming from there, and consistency of team selection. Eric, quickly, I'm sure every manager would love just to roll out the same 11 week in, week out if the team is winning. It's when it's not winning, then managers are inclined to try and find a system that does work for them.
I think I'm quite surprised that we haven't had we touched upon it in terms of when we'd lost to Preston in the EFL is that somewhere along the line we really have to get the goalkeeper and the back four settled into some form of shape. Because obviously we lost to Eric, he got sent off, so we said, right, he'll not be playing. I think the sooner we get that, that's got to be the bedrock. Because we have swapped and changed around full-back positions, Forsyth, Buchanan playing, different two centre-halves in each of the games. So I think it's vital for us to get out of this situation at the moment that we do get that settled back four as quickly as.
Two callers that I think want to make very similar points. So, chaps, we'll get you on together. Firstly, Tony in Spondon. Evening, Tony.
Evening, team. Nice to see you.
Nice to speak to you too. Stay there, Tony. Whoa, 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 whoa. I know what you're going to say, but stay there because I want to bring Steve and Ripley in as well. Hello, Steve.
Oh.
Tony, hello, Steve. Tony, kick us off. Go on.
Yeah. It's inexcusable to lose at home, but to lose 4-0 without a strike is inexcusable. Now, my response is not technical. I just say I will get Cocu out of the nest and get Brian Clough in. There's Nigel Clough in.
Right, I was going to say, Nigel Clough back.
Yeah. Sorry?
You want Nigel Clough back?
Yes, he's not doing it at the moment, and he did marvellous for Burton Albion. So I think his presence alone would lift the team because they must be totally demoralised at the moment.
So Philip Cocu out and Nigel Clough in. Steve?
Well, I don't know. I don't know your last caller, obviously, but he's absolutely spot on. The youth is. Eric, it must be an embarrassment, mate, to be ex-professional footballer. You must be biting your tongue, mate. This bloke, I'm telling you, hasn't got a clue.
Philip Cocu, give him his dues, Steve. You might not like him, but at least name the poor guy.
Look, I'm on about Cocu.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Name it. I mean, you don't have to like him, but calling him this bloke is a little bit much.
Let's stop beating around the bush. He's coming. Charlie Austin, he's been rumoured. We could go and get Lionel Messi, mate. It doesn't make no difference. The system we play, it's not good enough. It's slow football. It's boring. You know, you've got in the championship, you've got to be in people's faces. You've got to close them down quickly and get the ball. I'm not on about booting. It was Lampard. It's easy to say, when he's been and gone, but perfect thing you did. He had the team playing. It's awful to watch, and we're going nowhere, mate. I'm telling you. The point I'm trying to make because I only come on Radio Derby once in a blue moon. The last time I came on, Craig Ramage was on, and he was like deriding the lad. This is nice.
So
the job he did, just a minute. The job he did for Derby. You've started mentioning all these players: Chris Martin, Craig Bryson. Who brought all them in? Will Hughes. Where did he get him from? And the way they treated him, he's in Duffield. Go and get him and get rid of that clown who we've got, because I'm telling you, mate, he hasn't got a clue.
Steve, hold on. Whoa. Style of play, Eric. I mean, this is something that has come up many a time. The way that Cocu sets his teams up, the way they play, and I'm sure Steve isn't the only one that is a little bit disillusioned at what they perceive to be dull, boring and negative football. And when you're not picking up results, then that's always quite an easy target to hit, isn't it?
The balance of the team isn't right at the moment. I agree with the caller. The balance of the team isn't right. And he needs to get the players that were supposedly going to get back from the fitness problems they've got, and the new player in the 9 is vital. The fact we haven't started the season without the 9 is the one that's disappointed a lot of the fans I talk to. So they're naturally looking and going, the question, that's got to be not only Philip Cocu, that's got to be the people that are responsible for bringing the players into the club. I agree, we need to change, and we need to change quickly. I don't think changing Cocu at the moment is going to help Derby County as a football club, because in the end, it doesn't. What does it do? To change the players, you've got a week left to get more players in. So you can't change Cocu now, because whoever does that, they've got to then start again and rebuild. I think we've got to stay with it. We've got to get the number 9 in, and we've got to get some players back, and then we can see the balance of the team.
Thank you, Steve, for your call. Passionately made, and nothing against passion here on BBC Radio Derby. Not a Philip Cocu fan. A couple of your messages, and then we'll go to Malcolm. We can just about squeeze Malcolm in. Charles says, I think your last two callers are downright bang out of order. Cloughie, no chance as far as getting rid of Cocu. Give it time, says Charles in Hilton. Danny says, so the other players need to run around for Rooney. We can't afford a luxury player. His passing isn't perfect, nor are his set pieces. Dan says, this is feeling a bit like when we had Pearson in charge. The players seem to be not playing for the manager. I do believe in Cocu, though, and think he is a good manager. And no name on this text, have faith in Cocu, but feel as though the football is too slow. Teams are pressing high and we haven't got the quality to play out and creating our own problems. Bielik's return cannot be understated, will be like a new signing. Hopeful that the Serdar Dursun rumours are true. This is the link with the German striker currently playing in the second tier of German football, 28 years of age, contract running out. I think he's got a year left, and Derby heavily linked with a move for him. Big target man, scored a few goals in the German second division. We'll see how that link plays out. Final 5 minutes. Malcolm in Holbrook, you're ending what has been undoubtedly one of the busiest talkings we've had for a while. Malcolm, hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Right, I'm going to be short and sweet.
Okay, good.
First of all, the blame for everything lies at one person, nothing else. Also, another thing I've been realising, did we not set 2 more coaches on last week?
Yes, no. There was one extra coach added.
Than players.
When you say signed, sorry, I missed that, Malcolm. Signed 2 coaches.
No, they set 2 more coaches on. I don't mean busters. I mean blokes who tell us blokes how to play football.
Set.
No, I read that in the paper.
Justin Walker's been promoted from the 23s to the first team, and Shane Nicholson, is that the other one you're talking about, the physio?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just read something in the paper. But we seem to have a lot of coaches, so we're getting nowhere with that lot. Another thing, I don't know if you saw the Derby Telegraph paper today, and it shows you something there. Bradley Johnson against Sibley. I mean, men and boys, it really is, isn't it? You know, you can't argue about that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So we're back to that conversation again, Eric.
They don't know what they're doing. They have a clue. They have not a
We've got to
clue what to do.
Would you agree? We've got to get the experienced players back, get a number 9, get the experienced players back, and then we've got to get some consistency in selection. And that, for me, is the top and bottom of it. That so far, you would expect Philip Cocu to be under some form of pressure or criticism from fans because you've lost 4 games on the trot. You know, we're all human beings. That's what fans are. You're up, you're down. The one thing I've always said about the Derby fans and public, they're knowledgeable, as they've proved tonight, with the messages they've had on their calls, and you're making good, valid points the same. But changing the manager, the coach, trust me, at this time will not be the best thing for this football club. And we've got to give him a little bit more time.
I believe the next manager at the club is at the club.
Who's that, Wayne Rooney?
No more.
Oh, cryptic, Malcolm, to end. Well, thank you very much, Malcolm, and thank you very much for all the calls we had and all the many messages. I think I might just have a lie down in a dark room for the rest of time, I think, Eric. I'm not sure about you.
No, that was good.
It was busy.
It's been a good hour. And I'd like to say well done. Even if I don't agree with everybody, that's what football's about. We've all got an opinion.
That's very true.
And that's what we're at. And unfortunately, we don't make the decisions. We might influence the decisions because the public, they're the ones that turn up every week and pay their season tickets. So they've got every right to comment as they have. But I still think we'll go back to it. We've got to be just that little bit more patient. And let's see what Norwich brings and what the transfer window brings as well.
Yes, no, I was being facetious. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable hour, and it is honestly great to hear from so many of you and so many contrasting opinions and lots of messages. And yeah, it's been good fun, and even it's been civil on Facebook as well. And when it's civil on Facebook, then you know you're on to a winner. So thank you very much, everyone, for all of your contributions. Eric, we shall speak on Saturday. Nice early one for you and Ed down at Norwich City. So enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for all the callers. Really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've missed any of the programme or you just fancy listening to it all over again, wouldn't blame you, then you can download the podcast. It's available or will be available on the BBC Sounds app very shortly indeed. And we'll see what this week brings. Maybe a new striker, and we can all look forward to Norwich. 12:30 kickoff, remember, with you 12 o'clock on Saturday. Martin Williams follows the latest news at 7 o'clock. Bye for now.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.